Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 77 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And I'm very excited, ladies and gentlemen, because today I got this is my guy right here. I know, there's a lot of people that I've talked to over the years, but this is my guy. And I say this because he is the only four-time guy here on 101. He is this fourth time that he's been a guest on our show, but it's more than that. I love this guy. I love him as a coach, love him as a person. Coach Aaron Roussell of the Richmond Spiders women's basketball team. Coach Roussell, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, my friend. Congrats getting to number 77. And I didn't realize it was 4. I knew I was in a few of those 77s. But honored, man. Always excited to be here with you. And kudos to you. You're killing this thing, and really proud of you.
I appreciate that, Coach. Like I said, it's funny because when we started this thing, as I'll do a quick back lesson for those who are listening. So when we started this thing during the pandemic, craziness going on, and we just didn't know what was happening from there. And Coach Roussell was guest number 3 on here, and then we had him on for preview the last 2 seasons, and now this is the 3rd time we've had him on for a preview. So it's nice to have him back in the building to talk, of course, Richmond Spiders women's basketball, and of course we may sprinkle some other things in there as well. Now I'm gonna go ahead and announce this now. Next year when we have the brand new intro, got to make sure Coach Roussell gets in the intro. This is something
I got booted.
Yeah. You were in the first season. He was in the first season. And we're bringing him back when season 4 starts next year. When we do the new intro, guess who's going to be in there? Happy, smiling, ready to go.
I can't be upset. You know me and my allegiances to the Vikings, but you got Leroy Butler up there, man. I'm not trying to bounce that one. That's big time.
But no, Coach, you're just as big time as my man Leroy Butler. But let's go ahead and kind of get into this thing, ladies and gentlemen. So how we do this thing here. We got to start off first with the check-in. Now, with the check-in, Coach, just want to check on you, your family, your friends. Just kind of want to see how things have been going. It's been a year since we've had an actual chance to sit down and talk. So I just want to kind of know how things have been going.
Life is good. Obviously life's good with basketball, with the job, but most importantly, my family. Everybody seems to be relatively healthy. I think probably every time I talk to you, I talk about how busy we are, and those things get more and more busy as the kids get older, as you well know. I think it started off with maybe the first time we talked, the only thing going was baseball, but right. Baseball, basketball for Riley, my 12-year-old, my 6th grader, in full effect. Usually, if I'm not here, found on the Huguenot Little League fields or somewhere in a gym. And then the other 2 daughters have picked some things up here too, with softball and with soccer, all sorts of things going on. And try to sprinkle in a few dinners with the family, or at least with Molly. I know a few of these times that we've talked with COVID going on, we kind of moved here in a weird time, right? Like we kind of just trying to get our feet underneath us that first year, had that list of restaurants we were trying to hit, and then COVID happened. So I think we're still trying to play catch up with that local scene a little bit.
How close have you gotten on the restaurant front? I know that list has got it. I know you've been kind of knocking them down now that things have opened up a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, we're working on it. But obviously, you try to sprinkle in the new ones as much as you can, and then life happens, and you realize that if it's within a 3-mile radius of our house or one of the gyms or fields, I think we've hit about every restaurant in that. But trying to expand horizons a little bit, hitting into downtown. Our Midlothian area has been great, but try to get downtown as much as we can. We like those recruiting trips. We get those recruiting visits in here. That's a good way to kind of see that local scene a little bit.
Let's go out there, man. Like, let's go check out the scenery. Check out Richmond. See what you're getting yourself into out here. Now, Coach, like I said, it has been an honor. This is your 4th season coming up as the head coach of this Spiders basketball team, and a lot of growth. A lot of growth has has happened during that time frame, and I have to talk about this because I saw this and it did nothing but make me smile because, we've had a lot of talks over the year. Let's talk about the Roussell rebuild. Look at these numbers. And I'm going to boost you up a little bit because, here's the thing, I know sometimes when you're a coach, you go back and you look at it and you have to stay humble, but I'm going to boost you up because I have the right to do that in front of you right now, sir. So let's look at these numbers. So when you started here in the A10, ranked 13th in effective field goal percentage, now number 1 last year. Field goal percentage, 14th, number 1 last year in the A10. 2-point percentage, 13th, now number 1. 3-pointers, 13th, now number 2. But the NCAA rankings, everything was 326, 339, 347, 339. Look at those numbers now. 8th in the country last year in effective field goal percentage, 31st in field goal percentage, 5th in the country in 2-point percentage, and 51st in 3-point percentage. Coach, I just had to bump you up a little bit here. I had to give you some love. I saw this and I said, well, I can't wait to have Coach on because I have to talk about this. Coach, just in general, man, what do you attribute? And I know the ladies have a lot to do with it and the coaching staff, but just give me your insight on what made it a little bit easier to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a lot of kids that have really bought into kind of how we wanted to play, and I think maybe this is, kind of piggybacking off the end of our Bucknell run a little bit and had a lot of success with our offense. I appreciate the graphic. I appreciate being positive because we've had a lot of former players that have been giving me a really hard time about, Coach, when did all of a sudden you care about offense? Because back when we played, all you cared about was defense. And now you're letting people get out and play a little bit and shooting the ball a little bit more. I think maybe a little bit is kind of the evolution of me as a coach. I think everything for the early years was defense wins championships, defense, all those things sound great. And I don't want to sit here and talk about whether or not that's a lie. I think you have to be a strong defensive team. But I think just the more you look at it, you really have to have a more than competent offense, but really a potent offense as you get into this. And, I think obviously, we struggled a little bit shooting the basketball when we first got here. I think when we struggle right now with some of those shooting drills, you kind of have to kick yourself a little bit and be like, hey, what's wrong with us today? And then you still realize that maybe we have come a long way. So I think the players that we inherited were great in the sense that they really jumped on board and were excited about the style of play that we were playing. I give a lot of credit to our staff with the development of those players, but also the recruiting of players that really bought into how we wanted to play. I don't say you have to be able to shoot the basketball. I think we have some weapons and some things to do when people do struggle, or maybe it's not their number one skill set. But we definitely want to recruit kids that can put the ball in the basket and then try to teach them some things defensively a little bit. I think we were able to do that, although we probably need to teach them a little bit more on the rebounding. If you look at last year's numbers, appreciate Cody not putting up the rebounding numbers from last year too.
Good job, Cody.
But to our kids' credit, I think it's a style of play, no question. I'd be lying if I said that we're not targeting and being able to shoot the basketball. I think that has equated to a stronger offense and to more wins, but we know we still have a build with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, for the games that I got to call last year, you had, Klimkowitz and, you had, Emma Squires. I mean, just shooting. I think, I can't remember which game it is. I want to say it was Rhode Island, but Emma Squires had like 27 points. I mean, she was out there just hitting the three like nobody else's business. And so it's just like, I saw the difference. And in this will be the 6th year we've covered this team, and I've seen the difference from year one to now, and like the shooting has improved tremendously. So to see the graphic was like, yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. No, and appreciate that, but I think it's also, as people get more and more comfortable with what we're doing, I think even better things are ahead. A little bit of that is, when you kind of use these numbers and talk about the evolution of this, that kind of helps open the eyes of some maybe coaches and some players from the recruiting front a little bit. But I think as our players, I know we'll get into this, but I think as our players get more and more comfortable, we made quite a few tweaks to our offense last year, and probably even a few more this year. We're still doing that. You mentioned Kate, you mentioned Emma Squires. Those guys, were fantastic for us. We benefited from them. They benefited from us. But we really still have a young team right now. And I know we'll talk about that. And we have some, for the first time, a grad transfer. So you can say that she's new, but she's obviously experienced and a little bit older. We have some experienced players, but they're still young with a big future ahead. And we will be relying on some freshmen to help us out this year. And, hopefully as the year goes on, we'll be better offensively. But I think definitely for the years of moving forward, I think this is going even better places.
Yeah, I can definitely see, I said, see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm seeing greatness ahead. Now, Coach, how are off-season workouts going? I know we're getting clear like a week and a half.
Yeah, I keep saying 2 weeks, but we're getting close to that week and a half, man.
Yeah, like a week and a half from the season. I think first home game is on the 10th, and then you're hitting Liberty on the 7th, correct?
Yeah.
So Liberty on the 7th. So
starting with the big dog there.
Yeah, right off the bat. Why not? But with that being said, how did off-season workouts go this off-season?
Yeah, we had I think a great summer. I'm really proud of our players. We've kind of waffled a little bit on how long to bring these guys back, and I think they were really on board with maximizing their stay here in the summer. I think there's a huge summer for us from a basketball standpoint, but really with kind of a speed, strength, athleticism. I think that's something that we really hit hard. Players individually got a lot stronger. I mean, Addie Budnick's a different player around the basket right now. But I think just by and large, I think we're bigger, faster, stronger. Some of that's with some new kids coming in. But I'm really, really proud of our returners and kind of what they've transformed themselves into right now.
I've always this has been just my observation for what I see. Like when the A10, one of the most dominant teams in this conference has been Dayton. Dayton has size, length, athleticism. I'm not saying you're taking the model, but from what I can see in the young ladies that you brought in, size, length, and they just have that athleticism. And I love what I've seen from there. And for me personally, I feel like that has helped close the gap.
Yeah, for sure. I think the longer, and part of that is style of play. I mean, I think we've had all different walks of life in here over the last few years that have had really good careers and really helped us. But I think, as we've started to try to construct this thing kind of in the mold of what we've been comfortable with other years that we've had success with. Yeah, I think you look at length. I think that's the first thing. We may not be 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" across the front line, like maybe a South Carolina. But I think we want to have some good size in the front court while still being able to shoot the basketball, do some things away from the basket. But I think the biggest difference is just the length that we've been able to see at the wing spot. I think Kate, had some success with us, and obviously we'll miss her. But some of the new players that we've had are long and can shoot the basketball. But I do think, the athleticism has been apparent for them as well.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Now this next one, this is going to be like this is, if I'm not mistaken, you 4 years, usually about that 4-year mark, you have pretty much your players that you have brought in recruiting wise. There may be one or two that are sprinkled, from, before, but right now you pretty much have your core in on this team. But before we get into that, I kind of, want you to introduce us to those 5 new spotters that we have this season.
Yeah. And again, a roster that we're excited about. And, I think always people talk about the year 4 and, I think excited for us that, both the stops that we've been at the years prior has been, winning a championship in that 4th year, both at Chicago and at Bucknell. So I think, year 4, you start to see some things maybe differently. If I'm being real honest, not to keep pushing this down the road, but I think it's really 5, 6 when you kind of start to get settled. I know different people do things different way, and it's the transfer era. Maybe we haven't dove into that the same as some others. But I think, we're excited. Some of your kids, your juniors have kind of been around you, even your seniors that you've inherited kind of know the style and know the culture that you're trying to build. different relationship, but I think still an important piece to all of this. The 5 new kids, I think obviously with Amelia Krista Grava starting with her EKG, she's a different newcomer than we've ever had before, and in some ways comes in as the most accomplished player that we have. She's a 3-time all-conference kid, was leading scorer at Wagner and near the top of the league in rebounding and defense or defensively, but also from an offensive and scoring standpoint, just a really full of firepower. And I think she has some size being at 6'2", but she still allows us to play the same way that we want to. She's a kid from Latvia. So, you talk about the European model and those kids are just really, really skilled, can play all over the place, no matter the size. So we're really excited about her, whatever that role is, but she's a big deal with kind of what we're trying to add right now. You go to the rest of them, Torin Rogers, I think was a huge recruit for us. Just from an athletic standpoint, she played dang near every position, both AAU and with her high school team. So I think she's starting to figure out, and she's from about the smallest town maybe that we've ever recruited anybody from here to Richmond. So I think there's a growth that's going to happen with that. But she is a worker. All of these kids, man, they are in the gym. Probably more so than really any other group that we've had. They're in the gym working. So what you see right now is great, but I think what you see down the road is going to be big time for them. Maybe some unfortunate news, and probably breaking this, whenever this is public, but unfortunately Jada Green just had an injury here this week. So that's really going to probably change us from a defensive standpoint. Really unfortunate. We'll have to figure some things out, but I thought she was somebody that really was going to give us that athleticism and strength and, just mindset that she literally was guarding 1 through 5 for us and was really practicing well. Unfortunately, I think she'll probably be missed for the season, and throw that in there with Elena Chapman. Probably 2 people that you'd really love to have out there from a defense, from a rebounding and kind of style of play. But we'll figure some things out with that. And then Maggie Dugan, a player from just outside, we call her Philadelphia, but truthfully probably just outside of Philadelphia, if you want to be more accurate. I know she still claims all those Philly teams quite loudly and proudly right now.
Oh, I bet she is. I mean,
for both of us right now, right?
World Series,
we're watching the Eagles, we're watching the Phillies do all these things. But I mean, her mom was a phenomenal player, Hall of Famer, in up at LaSalle, was her high school coach. Maggie was a 2-time state champion with her high school team, and she is 6'2" and unbelievably skilled. I mean, just all over the place. Hard worker, but she finishes at the basket just as well as anybody else that I've coached. She shoots the 3 ball at 6'2" just as well as anybody else. And I'd probably be saying, an easy, one of the best shooters I've ever coached. But then, her buddy with Rachel Olstrom is just a special player and special shooter as well. I mean, those two at 6'1" and 6'2" to have the ability to shoot the basketball already as freshmen from the college line is something I've probably never seen anybody shoot the ball as well as they have right away entering the college game. So really excited about that group.
Yeah, Coach, don't pick the best player, the best shooter ever, because you don't need former players come back. I heard that.
I know.
I heard that. I can't have you getting beat up on my account, Coach.
Hey, and I appreciate you looking out for him, but these freshmen, those other guys know that we'll find some ways to find some holes in their game as freshmen too. This isn't romanticizing everything. We may talk you up right now, but it's only because you don't have game film that we can pick apart right now.
Yeah, it's like
that comes later.
All right, I can't wait to see the 5 new Spiders on the floor this year, or hopefully Jada here in the near future. And then let me correct you. Said Elena is also out for the season, or she's going to be out
unfortunately for her. I mean, that's something that kind of transpired from end of last year.
Right.
Unfortunately, missed last season, and kind of hope to get her back throughout the year, and maybe towards the end of the year. And just has had some health injuries, and that back just probably is not going to allow her. So she's been medically retired at this point, unfortunately. And not something that you want to see as a coach. I mean, obviously, it means a lot for us from a basketball standpoint, but just as a human being, she really worked hard, and I think really wanted to get back here, improve some things, and it just wasn't in the cards. But I think obviously the human being side of you looking out for these kids is. There's a lifetime ahead after college basketball, and you want her to be able to be functional, and it really does suck, and maybe some months removed make it a little bit easier right now. But from an emotional standpoint, that was really hard to go through to kind of shut the door on her.
Well, much love to her. And, because like you said, we saw the growth that was coming from her and, the talent that is there. So, Elena, on behalf of Legacy Maker Sports, we're definitely, our prayers are out to you. And hopefully, that, your career will keep rolling on from there. And, you're going to graduate from an amazing school. So that's the positives that we definitely can take from that. All right. Now, Coach, before we go to quick ones, I do have this one. Now, I know every game is important. So I'm doing this disclaimer. I know every game is important. And I know that I know every game is important. And I also know that you take it one game at a time. But I just want to take it as a perspective. How big is it to have a Duke Blue Devil team come into Richmond to take on this Spiders team?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I appreciate you getting all that coaching cliches.
I got you, Coach.
You don't have to. Whatever that is, the 7th, 8th game of the year, and we're already looking forward to that one. I think that's big time for us. I think that's to get a caliber of opponent in there. And I think that's something that's been building. I think we've talked with a few and maybe came close over the years, but I think we talk a lot in recruiting. I think from our standpoint, managing a program, running a program, trying to build a program, you want to get some heavy hitters in here. I think, from a realistic standpoint, you just want to get to play them. And then to get them on your home court, kudos to Coach Lawson and her staff for allowing this to happen. Quite honestly, it's something we've been looking forward to. And, I think that's probably one of the games, too, that you look at it from a Jada Green standpoint that you really, you wish to have your full arsenal. And you hope that both teams are healthy at that point, too. But knowing that you're not going to have Jada, not going to have Elena, that's maybe one of those games that you definitely want them in there for. But at the same point, I think it's huge for our program. Excited to have them here. We're excited to go back down there next year. We're excited to go to Puerto Rico this year and kind of see some
Puerto Rico
outside of our area, while also kind of trying to give a pretty, hopefully memorable trip for our players and for our staff. I think this is all part of the build, right? And I don't mean to say at any point that we've arrived. I think we're hopefully still a few more years away from that. But I think you see part of the build, part of the vision for us to go out there and play some big dogs, play with those guys, and use that for recruiting, but also just from a test and assessment for us to kind of see where we are in this build.
Well, last year, big victory over UVA. Big victory over UVA last year. And so, definitely a nice victory. Who knows? I mean, we're not going to, I'm not going to make you do any predictions or nothing like that because that would be shameful on me. But who knows? I mean, December 4th could see a really nice game from the Robins Center. Now, with all that being said, it's time to come to one of my favorite segment of the show. This is my favorite segment of the show. It is it is time. Now, you've done quick ones before, but now you have done quick ones before, but we got a new one for you this time around. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Aaron Roussell edition of Quick Ones.
Now you're good at this, and you did preface this, but I want to make sure everybody knows I have no inkling of what you're going to talk about. So this is no preparation. I'm going to preface that before I, think off the cuff on this and say something that you're not looking for here.
So y'all have to understand.
Put that disclaimer at the bottom as well, too. Right?
You have to understand on quick ones. I usually give a couple of layups. I'll give you a couple of layups in there, some easy ones. I'm gonna throw one in on you, be like, "What?" I'm gonna make you think a little bit on a couple of these. That's where we are in this. That's how we do it. All right. So the first one, a little bit of a layup, or maybe not a layup. Quick ones. Outlook on the Minnesota Vikings.
Outlook. You probably don't like this one, man, but I'm glad we're in the division that we are right now. We talked a little bit. Was able to take my guy up there with my dad to a Vikings game, and it was awesome. My first time. I say new stadium, relatively new stadium, but I like where we are. Like the coaching staff, like the team. Man, you're getting me on a day that Kirk hasn't done anything bad in the last few days. So
I'm not trying to stir up any mojo.
Area, their level of trust with Kirk Cousins, is what it is. I've probably been on that roller coaster a few times, but man, we got some things to figure out, no doubt. But hopefully we can do that with a 3.5 game lead. That Packer downfall or apparent downfall right now.
God, it's miserable.
By us. We have some breathing room and some room for mistakes. Maybe that's the best part about this outlook for the Vikings.
It's absolutely miserable for me. I'm just going to throw that out there. I was at the game this past week, and watching it live on the field was one of the most disturbing things I've ever had to had to go through. It is hard when you're just sitting there like, gotta just sit there and take it.
As a Vikings fan, it was about the most unexpected thing. Was that when you're coaching baseball, most of these Sundays, you're trying to keep tabs on the NFL, and that was the first one that stood out. Was being a fan of a team in this division, you just assume Aaron Rodgers is going to figure it out, and probably still will. But that was not an expected result. Sorry to rub that in, man.
No, and as well you should, sir. I look, if it was me, I probably would do the same thing. I'm not even going to sit there and lie to you.
I think you have in the past.
I think I have in the past. And look, and a lot of people's like, oh, as a play, like what team do you hate the most? People think I'm going to say Chicago. No, I hate Minnesota. Just like you hate Green Bay. And that's okay though. That's where we are. Now I want to show you this before I move on.
We can equally have that same disdain for Chicago together, though.
Exactly.
Together we can have that with Chicago. Fair.
Both hate Chicago.
Right.
Now I want to show you this real quick. This is from the quick ones that will be airing tomorrow. Look who I got at number 5 there in the top 5 MVP rankings. That's Mr. Justin Jefferson. What a great season Justin Jefferson has had so far.
He's legit, man. That's big time, and I'm happy to see that, but my little man will be really, really excited to see that. That's his man right there.
I'm telling you, look, Justin Jefferson, destroyed us. But every time I see him play, I get mad because guess who could have drafted him? Guess who's got receiver problems? I'm not gonna do that to myself. Look, we're talking basketball. Look, I'm not gonna do that to myself today. But nevertheless, the Vikings do look good. I have them as a spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, for tomorrow. I have him I have the Vikings at number 3 on the power rankings heading into tomorrow.
All right, my friend. That's right. You may have more confidence in them than I do. Just like everything else, the theme of this has been the build. I'm excited for what the Vikings can build out to right now, for sure.
All right. Next one, quick ones. What's your favorite TV show right now?
Ooh, I'll tell you what. The wife and I maybe catch up on things years past. I think we kind of go on our binges. Probably some shows that people watched probably a long time ago. I think we finally finished Veep this summer. We loved that one.
Veep was good.
I feel like we've talked about that one quite a bit. Still trying to find a new one right now. Ozark was outstanding. I think I ended up watching that one by myself for a while. Molly tapped out on that one. What else did we just finish? We're Lincoln Lawyer. We're onto that one right now. So I think we're up to date on that.
Bradley Cooper. That's the movie that Bradley Cooper's in.
Matthew McConaughey.
McConaughey. Okay.
McConaughey in the movie. Which weirdly I never saw the movie. Maybe not good with the movie stuff. But, trying to catch up on. I say catch up, but I probably later than most on my TV shows.
Don't feel bad. I've been kind of doing that same thing here and there because there's so much TV now. I mean, when we were growing up, there was TV, but there wasn't this much TV. Right. There's so much TV now. Like there's a great new show every time you turn around. And the one show that I went back and watched because everybody was like, "Yo, you got to watch it." I mean, it's great. Was Seinfeld.
Yes.
I binge watched Seinfeld over the summer, and I was like, "Man, this show can't be that funny." But I love dry humor. And I didn't realize how much I would absolutely love it. So Seinfeld was great.
Seinfeld, I think I've seen all of those. Seinfeld, Cheers were the old time classics.
Yep.
Sopranos, The Wire, if you want to go, and I hate to say those are even more modern, probably 15, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Probably up there on my favorites. But yeah, I mean, honest to God, man, if the TV's on in our house, which it isn't on a ton, it's usually a sporting event of some sorts. There's not a whole lot of, if after the kids go to bed, that's kind of our one time on occasion that wife and I will, find that other stuff. And usually each season I have to find one show that I can watch without her, without getting in trouble. So I have to find something that she doesn't like that I can find during our travels.
Well, I'm a huge Game of Thrones guy. And so House of Dragon is, that just ended, but man, Game of Thrones is crazy. That's my favorite TV show. I got hooked into it about 10 years ago, and everything Game of Thrones now. If I see anything like the YouTube videos, you name it, I'm like Game of Thrones. I'm all in it. So
in proper fashion, if I end up watching that one, probably 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah, and then make sure that your children are not in the room. There's a lot going on. All right, last one on quick ones. Last one. This is my fun. This is gonna be the fun one. You are hosting a comedy tour. You can pick 4 comedians to be on that tour. Which 4 comedians are you having on the Aaron Roussell comedy tour?
God, am I allowed to say this? I feel like everybody getting in trouble these days. Comedians are getting in trouble. I feel like if I say one of these comedians, I'm going to go down with them. Are you trying to set me up for something?
No. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this on this date, you cannot hold against him. Coach Aaron Roussell cannot be responsible for what these comedians do. As of this date, October the 26th of 2022. Anything after this, don't go after my man from this. This is not his fault. This is pre-October 26, 2022.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Well, safely say Seinfeld.
Okay.
That was one. I know he's coming to Richmond. Maybe that's one we'll have to go check out. I at least know this one can't get me in trouble. At least know this one can't get me in trouble. Jim Gaffigan probably got the cleanest comedian.
Yes.
And as a family guy, when you can kind of, I love my kids, but if they rip on me, I can rip on our kids a little bit. I mean, you can have some fun at their expense. That's a good thing. I'd be lying if I didn't think Chappelle was funny, but even as those words come out of my mouth, I
don't want to get in trouble
with that. Maybe Bill Burr kind of in that same category a little bit, but Richard Pryor back in the day was really good. Eddie Murphy. I mean, and those guys didn't get in trouble for that stuff. So that probably should have ixnayed the 2 most immediate ones and probably gone that route. But it's really cool, man. I think that the Netflix is something that whenever that happens, even like the comedians in cars. I mean, some of the other stuff, it's just cool to see that stuff kind of coming back a little bit. We try to catch up on shows, but those are usually the one-offs. An hour-long comedian special on Netflix. It used to be HBO, right? Back in the day, it was like you watch something late at night on HBO. Now it's before these guys get in trouble and get canceled, you can catch them on Netflix.
You ain't never lie, coach. Like you never know how it's gonna go nowadays. But once again, as a disclaimer, this is anything after October 26, 2022, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot hold this man accountable. We didn't know. I mean, there was a lot of people that used to like O.J. Simpson. We throwing it out there.
You didn't say. You just said on the tour. Sometimes I might just want to laugh. Sometimes I want to watch other people laugh. Like I'm not agreeing with anything that these guys say. It's an entertainment industry.
It's an entertainment. Right? He is trying to make money for the Aaron Roussell comedy tour. That is all that's going on here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a good way to put it.
Whatever happens on that, that's on them. But the first two,
what sells. We're just trying to get tickets. That's fair. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
I got you, Coach. I got you. All right, everybody. That was the Aaron Roussell version of Quick Ones here on episode 77. Now, Coach, once again, I want to thank you for coming on. Truly appreciate you for coming on for this latest episode. But before we go, I need to know your season outlook for this Richmond Spiders basketball team and the goals that you have in place for these young ladies this season.
Yeah, I think at some point, as a coach, you want to have that goal each season, whether it's spoken or unspoken, of winning a championship. And year 4, I talked about what's happened year 4 other places, but I don't know that that's a make or break anything for this season. I mean, everybody wants to cut down that net at the end of the season. It's still something we've talked about, maybe more in the off season with goals. I think once even the championship teams that I've coached over the years, we never talked about that once the season started. I really like where this program is going, whether that, and we build this as talking about having championship habits, doing things, with the championship mindset. That's the goal, whether that has to happen in X number of months or X number of years. Maybe I'm stopping short of giving you any sort of goal or giving you what you want right now. But I do like this team. They're a fun group to coach. I like the pieces that we have. Obviously tomorrow's it won't be maybe as fresh. Some of the disappointment of kind of some of the injuries that we've had right now. Right. But I think once we get healthy, I really like this team for what they can be. And like we said, with all due respect to a couple of seniors that we have right now, this is also, I think, trending the right direction, the trajectory of this program that we can say every single year. And I think building it with balanced classes, that it's not having to do this and then back down, putting some balance to this, that we can kind of try to be that perennial championship contender every single year, not just in the years that so-and-so may be a senior and whatnot. Hopefully we can have those difference makers in each class.
Well, last year you went on that 8-game run, which was nice to see. I remember just how well the ladies were playing there. So you've been, like I said, you've been showing the growth each year. We saw it in the numbers. We're seeing it in the energy and the play from these ladies. So, once again, Coach, just great job out there, man. I mean, I've always appreciated you for, being kind to me, being kind to the network, and giving us an opportunity to, always have these sit downs and these talks and kind of pick the brain a little bit. So we've always appreciated it. And thank you once again.
You do good work, my friend. This has been fun. And I know we're kind of been attached at the hip here for the last few years. Appreciate what you're doing for us, but also big time for you and what you guys are doing. And hopefully you're back on that sideline. I know we got a little sideline touch with those Vikings. Hopefully you can get that sideline action. Hopefully you see a little bit cleaner and better football than
I'll take anything. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to be rooting for the Commanders that day. I mean, without saying, but I'm very intrigued to see how Kirk Cousins is coming back into town. That whole aspect is going to be very interesting to see. So, but nevertheless, I mean, it's been once again a pleasure to have you on, Coach. Good luck next week. Like we got the next. Oh my God, I still can't get over this. We got women's basketball here in the next couple of weeks. They got Liberty, and then is it Navy that you have on the 10th?
Mount St. Mary's would be our home.
Mount St. Mary's. You
should have said I don't know. Right? Isn't that the right coaching answer? I'm only looking forward to Liberty.
I'm only looking forward to Liberty, but
That's
yes,
right.
Liberty, but first home game, and we plan on being there. Cannot wait to catch the action. Once again, everybody, I'm your man, Darrell Owens. This is Coach Aaron Roussell, head coach of the Richmond Spiders women's basketball team. Thank you, Coach, once again for coming on, and we'll see you all tomorrow for episode 78, the Power Rankings, week 8 in the NFL season. Got a lot going on with that. But once again, Coach, we truly appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Darrell. Appreciate it.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been One-on-One. We're out.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the